Hi, this is Gilles, the radio prepper. If you've been watching my videos, you know by now that I'm a big fan of Morse code because it's simple, it's efficient, and it does work. The radios are very small and they use very little current. But it doesn't mean that there are not other modes that are more efficient than Morse code, digital modes. Some of them are even capable of decoding signals below the noise level, which is not possible with Morse code. The only beef I have, if you might say, with digital modes is of course that they require a computer, it's a more complex setup, and they use more electricity. Digital modes, however, in some cases will get you through when even Morse code won't. They do require an SSB capable radio, so meaning a bigger radio once again. But it just happens that the QRPGuys came up with a DSB dual sideband tiny transceiver for digital modes, and namely FT8. Now, I'm not going to be using FT8, and there is a trick to that, but I'll show you the kit here. This just came from QRPGuys, and I bought it, and it's a digital mode transceiver. It only does dual sidebands, meaning you have the upper sideband and you have the lower sideband, both of them. So it's less efficient, of course, than a regular USB or LSB radio because, once again, it uses both sidebands. And that can be a problem. So this is not really a good solution to using digital modes. But it will work in a pinch. So it's not something I'm going to be using on a regular basis, but it can save your bacon. This kit has been designed for the FT8 mode, and I have absolutely no use for FT8. FT8 is not a chat mode, so I'm not criticizing it, but I just have no use for it. For me, it's useless, and I'm not going to be using FT8. The problem with this kit is that it's crystal controlled, so it's stuck on the FT8 frequencies, and it has a few modules for more than one band. So basically they are plug-in modules, and you can go on 20, 30, 40 meters and operate on the FT8 frequencies. And I thought, well, what if I want to use JS8 with the JS8 call program? That is a chat mode, and it's a very efficient chat mode. Probably the best one for prepping, in my opinion. Now, there is no crystal in this for JS8 frequencies. So there are companies that will grind you a crystal, a custom crystal, if you may, that allows you to operate on a slightly different frequency than the FT8 frequency. So I did order myself a custom crystal for the JS8 frequencies. And it did cost me more than the kit itself, because of course a custom crystal has to be made, and I'm still waiting for it. I don't have it at this time. It takes about a month. And once again, I paid more than for the kit cost. Probably, I think I paid around $30 or something like that for a custom crystal. So you won't see JS8 in this video, that's for part 2. But I will build this DSB transceiver and try it on FT8. In part 2, I will have my crystal for JS8 and will build the 40 meter module just for testing the kit, basically see if it works well. And it's fairly small. You can see the circuit board here is of fairly small size, and it will fit in a fairly small box, and that's what I'm interested in, because I'll have to lug a laptop around with me and it's just something that I don't really want to carry with me. But again, in some cases you will benefit greatly from a very efficient digital mode. So it's not something I'm going to use all the time, but it's good to have, and it was very cheap. And it's just one more weapon in your arsenal, in your radio arsenal, so to speak. So let's build this and see if it works. So here's the circuit board. It's pretty nice, although the pads are fairly small. But it's a good size for a transceiver, definitely. And again, that will fit in a small box. I have a plate of components here that I'm going to solder. I'm not going to show you every step of the way, but I will stop on maybe some difficult parts or particulars of the kit that need to be highlighted. The markings too are very small, so if like me you have some vision problems, better have a magnifying lens. The manual has a depiction of the board with component layout, so that does help a great deal. Alright, I'm moving right along here and I'm getting to the LEDs. Now, one is a red LED and one is a green LED, but as it happens, they both are clear. They will light up green or red, but how do you tell them apart? I'll get back to the LEDs later. I guess I'll just solder them and see if I get the right color. What I really like with this kit is that all the connectors are board mounted, so no wires, because I hate soldering wires on kits, and that's excellent. What I find pretty idiotic is that they provide you with a board mounted BNC, but they don't give you the screw, the nut that goes here. So you have no nut. And if you want to put this into a box, a case, like I want, well, you're pretty much out of luck. Or you have to find your own nut and use that. Alright, big hurdle. QRPGuys forgot to deliver the audio jacks. Almost finished, but apparently I'm also missing a resistor, R2 and R12. So 2 resistors missing and 2 audio jack sockets. Thumbs down, QRPGuys. Fortunately, I found some audio jacks in my junk box, so now I just have to find the resistors. This kit really isn't difficult. It's pretty simple. The only part here that you have to really pay attention to is the transformer. Actually, there are 2 of them. They're identical. Not too hard because there are no taps, basically. It's just double winding. So you take 2 6-inch piece of enameled wire here, a red and green, and we're going to slightly twist them together, but not too much, just so they don't separate, and wind a few turns on the core here. 5 turns to be exact. So this is 1 turn, 2, they actually untwisted, but that's not a problem. Now the trick here is to separate the wires, because you need to have the 2 greens on this side and the 2 reds on the other side. And I should tighten that a little bit, it's a little loose. But basically that's it. You really have to scrape the enameled wires really well, because that's where most problems arise. Except for R2 and R12, of course, which are missing, the transceiver is finished. Now I just have to build the low-pass filter and the crystal holder. The module plugs in the circuit board just like this. I like this arrangement, it's pretty nifty, I have to say. Now you will notice that there is a connection here for an external VFO. It's just a frequency generator. So I could have saved some money by buying a simple Chinese DDS module, also a digital frequency generator, and I wouldn't have needed to have a custom crystal made. But I didn't want the complexity, so I went with the more expensive crystal option. But I think in the end it will be simpler, just a smaller transceiver. And it is rainy and pretty cold today. That's why I have my sweatshirt. Did you see that? Yep, you can get one too, actually. I'll put the link in the description. So I am still missing 2 resistors, which I have to order from QRP Labs, which will take as much time as ordering from China or anywhere else. I'm very sorry and disappointed that I cannot test this transceiver on, at least on FT8, until I receive my custom crystals, which should be any day now. So by the time I receive the resistors from QRP Labs, I'll probably have the crystal, and then I can directly test it on JS8. But I really wanted to show it to you. That will be for part 2. I probably will order a case for it too, maybe something from Hammond, a cast aluminum case, so that I can put it in a backpack or anything like that in my truck and not worry about breaking it. But someone did publish a 3D printed design of a case for this transceiver on Thingiverse, so I'll put the link below as well. And before I go, a big thank you again to all my Patreon subscribers. If you'd like to join up, the link is also in the description, and that might help me get a haircut, which I really do need. Have a good one.